Welcome. I'm Bernice Ross, the CEO and president of BrokerAgeUpAndRealEstateCoach.com, and I'm so delighted to have my good friend Karel Murray with us today. Karel is an international speaker, author, consultant, and the best storyteller in the real estate industry. Karel, thank you for being with us today.
Happy to be here.
Now, you have a great session for us called Becoming Yourself. And what's happened during the pandemic is I think we not only have had kind of the great pause here, but we've also had a great reinvention that is still taking place today. We're not through it by any means. So we're going to talk about kind of lessons learned and just, see where this conversation takes us. So Karel, thank you. So what did you mean when you say becoming yourself?
Well, I think it's kind of just to a point where we look in the mirror and we just realize that something's off. I don't know how to explain it. You just look at it and go, what about this picture doesn't look the same? Now, granted, I don't look like I looked when I was 45. I was 50 pounds lighter. I had cheekbones. I could wear a hat. And I didn't look like Alfred Hitchcock for a while, right? In front of a projector, and as you get older, things start moving in a direction south that we really didn't anticipate. I'm not talking about any of that. It's when you look at your eyes and you go, where did I go? And it was interesting. As Bernice had mentioned, as I address every one of you out there, that I was a national and international speaker, keynote speaker, and a real estate educator. And one of the things that I did is I'm traveling. I was on the road at least 290 to 300 days a year. And I did that for 18 years straight, going from town to town, doing my thing, meeting people. It's like a flash and dash, right? You go in, hi, love you. And then you go home, and then you hope that your dog still recognizes you and your cat. Well, something happened in 2018 early. I was sitting in a Denny's, 6 o'clock at night in Idaho. I'm on the phone with my husband, and in the background, I could hear my grandkids playing, my son and his wife talking to him in the background. And I realized that they had invited my husband over for dinner, and I wasn't there. I'm in a Denny's with a lot of other old people like me eating some chicken and mashed potatoes and gravy. I remember the meal, and mushy green beans. I remember that too. And the thing is that I started crying because I thought, what am I doing? I'm here all by myself. And that's when I truly realized how lonely I was. And I got to thinking, all right, you can't feel sorry for yourself. You've got to figure out, what do you want? This is something that anyone works with me when I'm as a consultant. What do you want? And right then and there, it became very clear that what I want is to stop. And I want to be with the man that I love. We've been married for 44 years, and I wanted to be there with him instead of just a couple days a week, that I would be there and enjoy life experiences and see my grandkids actually grow up. And with that decision, I kind of moved forward to figure out, who am I? And what was kind of interesting with this is that I would have people, when I told them I was going to retire starting in 2018, I sold all of my programs. 2018, I actually worked more than 300 days. I sold all of my real estate education programs. People couldn't believe I was doing that. In fact, one person even said, you're not allowed. You have to keep working. You're only 65. And I go, no, I don't. I can do what I want to do. You don't have, and another person said, well, you can't afford to retire. And I go, how in the earth would you know that? You know nothing about me. We're casual friends. You had no clue about my situation. And I said, the reality is I can't afford not to retire because I'm losing me. I'm losing my foundation. And so it was interesting. I got something out of the closet. I made Bernice start this all over again. There is something that I have that always watches over me.
I love it.
This is my little gnome.
I love your gnome. That is great.
Here's the thing. I know this is like weird, but I found him in Las Vegas, and it was a gnome, and they're supposed to be a good luck gnome. And the thing is with little baby gnomes, the thing is that they know who and what they are. And it also gave me laughter. And it's like, I forgot how to play. I forgot what it was all about in terms of just being who I decided I wanted to be. So when I took a look at that and said, all right, those are my toys, but I never get to see my toys. Those are my cats, I never get to see my cats. Decision made and done. Now let's move forward. It took, since I booked a year ahead, I needed to make sure that most of my engagements were done by 2/19. So now let's go to 2/19. At that point, I only had about 6 engagements left for 2/19. A good way to wind down, not to get panicked because I didn't have anything to do, because it's hard to go from 1,000 miles an hour to nothing, to flatline. It's very difficult to do that. And I needed to settle my brain down to figure out what do I want. 2020 comes, there's nothing left. I basically have shut down most of my consulting. I only do it with a few people here and there that could really use my expertise, because there's something called relevance. And I think all of you know what I'm talking about, that the further you get away from something, the less relevant you can speak to that. Now, there are things I can speak to still, but maybe in the real estate world, not necessarily so. So as we look at this, someone asked me the other day, so hi, what do you do? And I said, I'm a national speak. No, I'm retired. And right then in January of this year, that's when I realized I didn't know who I was. So I had to start reinventing myself. I thought, okay, who am I and what do I like? So with the reinvention, as we have been talking a little bit personally between Bernice and I, and what I want to share with you is I started digging through cupboards of stuff that I haven't seen in a long time. They call that nesting, I understand. I call that spring cleaning, but also digging out things. And I took out big boxes where I had stuff from high school and college, the love letters from my husband that I had. He made me burn a few. That's okay, because they were little spicy. And if we die, we don't want our son reading that, thinking we're like pervs. So, we rid of some of that stuff. And as I'm reading it, it's interesting. I found whole portfolios of stories and poems that I had written when I was 18, 19, 20, and the angst, the sadness of a teenager. And I'm laughing, and I'm also realizing my head was there. But then I started finding the joy of relearning the piano. I always have played by ear, and I play the Moonlight Sonata. I've never read the music. I just play it. And now I've got the music, and I'm kind of throwing up because it looks pretty difficult. But I'm learning how to read music and teach it. Once or twice a week, I will work at my piano. Karaoke, I sing in my house. Rick will only let me do it when he leaves town, but I sing. And I sing loudly into a microphone, and I have a blast in my little TV room. But here's what the reality is that I am now probably happier than I have been in 20 years. I am settled. The stress is released. And despite what you see with this professional appearance, I get to wear something like this now.
This is the Carol I know and love.
Is my squirrel t-shirt. Look at that squirrel.
Wonderful.
And Rick will only let me wear it in the house. He does not like me to go out in public. The eyeballs hit exactly where my chests are. It's kind of fascinating. But this shirt gives me joy because it's so stupid, and I don't care. My son saw it, and he goes, Mom, you're not allowed to wear that around the house. And I go, what? I said, these kids need to know what their grandma's like. This is what I'm like behind closed doors. So what I had to do in front of audiences, sure, I could be playful and I could say some things that are playful and do that. But for the real me, now I get to be me.
And, Carol, the thing that comes up for me is, this is such an incredible journey, and there's so many takeaways for the people that haven't got to the place of joy yet, and it's very difficult to get there given what's been going on for in this particular time period. What takeaways do you have to help them kind of, start making, finding themselves and really coming to terms with who they're going to be going forward? I think we have. I talked about, kind of the great pause, but the great reinvention is going on as we speak.
Well, and I love that word, the great reinvention, because it was like the world flipped the switch off. It forced everyone to just stop, and we did. And people don't know what to do with that silence. That was my year of 2018, when I flipped the switch. And it was a whole year, I was still very busy, but my brain was recalibrating. So the first thing I have to basically just make a recommendation is that, again, what do you want? What is the end result? I know that what I'd like to do is what my lifestyle, I want blood pressure way down. I want to be able to be I made this bullet list in order of what was most important to me. What do I want? Because I have to be accountable. No one's going to do it for you. I think we figured that out a long time ago, that you can sit down and choose to lay on the couch and be a sloth. And I do that periodically. I have been watching Naked and Afraid excel. I mean, I know how to start a fire in Africa. This is important stuff. And so I can be a sloth if I want to. It is my choice. If I want to go find another job, I can do that. But since I've been working since I was 13, I'm 65 now. Isn't it okay now for me to do something for me? This is lesson number 2, is you got to give yourself permission. We have a way of overriding that we don't count, that we have to do this for these people and do that for this people. And if there's money that I need to make because I want to invest in something, then sure, I'll go do whatever work I need to do to get that money to be able to go what I want to do. But it has a beginning, a middle, and an end, a purpose to it. So define your purpose, figure out what you want, give yourself permission, and then from that point on, start surrounding yourself with people that support your vision. Because there are in our lives, I think, people who like to keep us down, people that like to say no a lot, people that are fearful of where your thoughts are because you're changing, you're doing something that they're not expecting. And with that, all you can do is smile at them with love and say, I know this is creating change for you inadvertently, but if you truly want to be part of my life, join me on the journey, and we're going to enjoy ourselves there. So you're going to find that there's going to be some subtle shifting that you're going to be making with your relationships and how you relate with certain people. You're going to reach out because of your needs are going to change, and that's perfectly fine. And I'm going to give you permission to do that.
Carol, what you've just shared is so important. One of the first things early in when I was taking my Coach University courses that they talked about is when you start raising your standards and making self-improvement, you're going to find, as you described, a lot of people are going to try to pull you back to where they are. And that's what's going on right now in so many different places, because people want to, if they're miserable, they're unhappy, or they're in fear, they want to pull those of us who are in joy and love and happiness, they want to pull us away. We're not supposed to be there at this point in time. And what happens is those people, when they leave your life, you're making room for people who are like you in your new state. And, one of the best things that happened to me is when we moved into the subdivision that we're in, I'm surrounded by people here who give back, who are just fun to be with. They're making the best of it. They have great families. They're strong in their faith. They're, whatever their belief systems is. And this community supports each other. And I think what a blessing it is to be surrounded. Not everybody here is, part of that group that does that, but there's a huge contingent here that does. If someone needs a ride, to the hospital for a checkup, or if they're going through cancer treatment. People here will put together a schedule for rides and delivery food and doing all kinds of things. They just do it. And what a blessing to be in that type of community, especially with all the discord that is happening right now.
Well, I tell you, it is about giving back. And I think that's really vital. So my husband and I, since 2018, have been working with our local food bank. We go there one day a week and we help with the stocking and handing food out with families. And I'm going to tell you, I'm never going to complain about not having enough money anymore. Never. Because what I've seen some people and what they live on is absolutely sobering. So it gave me a perspective, but you feel like you're helping the community. I'm also on hold right now. I want to be an end-of-life vigil sitter for hospice for people in nursing homes who have no family or friends that can be with them, so that I would be with them for their last 2 weeks or 10 days and just be there to hold their hand, to talk to them, get to know them. And that's something that really fits for me as a place of contentment and just knowing that I can be of service one person at a time. I don't need to be of service to 3,000 people anymore or 1,000. It's one at a time. And then you would hope that when my time comes, that I will have that as well. So what you give out will come back for you. I'm also going to probably, because of all of the things that we've been hearing lately, so our timeline, and I'm not sure when this is actually going to air, but we're hearing a lot about defunding police departments and things like that. We actually have volunteers that can work at our local police department. So I'm going to go in, and my hope is that I can work on a hotline. That if they have like a suicide hotline, something like that, and do the training for that, that is something that also would be good for me. Something that because I'm always comfortable in the midst of trauma, turmoil, that it's just kind of, we try to be calm. I don't overreact. I just do what needs to be done. And then you fall apart later when you shut the door, right? So it's options. What can you do to dive deep that fills this well right here and do it for as long as you're able to do it and remain healthy? Find the balance. There's many that are young that still need to be earning a living doing that. Well, it's about reinventing yourself. It is quiet now. Quiet allows you to think. Quiet allows you to storyboard, right? And some of you know how to do that, where you laid it, if this happens, I'm going to do that. If this is going to go, then I have to do that. The problem solving 101. If you're able to do cloud charting and putting that problem in the middle and then start finding your solutions from there and adapting each one of those solutions. This is something that in work, you have the opportunity to reinvent yourself, which you mentioned earlier. So I don't want to do this anymore. I'm going to go that way. Okay, then how are you going to do it?
Carol, could you elaborate on that for those of us who are very, A to B to C to D? I'm very deductive, and what you're talking about is essentially being inductive, starting with the problem and then branching out. And I think that's such a powerful approach. It's a way to capture your brainstorming. So if you could say a little bit more about that, because what that does is it opens up the possibilities.
All right, so then I'm just going to do it real simple here, and it's the best way is through visual aids. So we're going to call that the cloud.
Okay.
And what I'm going to do is I'm going to put on here, I need to lose 50 pounds. I'm putting that right smack in the middle of the cloud, okay?
Okay.
So what I'm going to do is what contributed to me gaining 50 pounds? Eat too much. Another one, wrong foods. No exercise. So notice that what I'm doing is I'm writing them up here, all the things that contribute to why did I gain 50 pounds. Now I'm going to only just use 3 because we don't have a lot of time. Normally I put 7 different reasons. I can't say the dog made me do it because that's a lie. That's a lie, and I won't do that. So here we go. The main reasons why I've gained weight is, again, I eat too much, I'm eating the wrong foods, and no exercise. Now, out of these, the first rule number 1 is there anything I can't control on here? I can control all of these. If I couldn't control it, like the dog made me do it, if I put that down, I'm going to X that out because there's nothing I can do about it. Let's say it's genetics. I can't do anything about that. I'm diabetic. I can't do anything about that. Thyroid issues and medication, I can't do it. So you're going to cross those things off. Next, I'm going to put things that are the same. What I have is eating too much. Again, wrong foods, no exercise. But they're all three different things. Once I've done that, now we go for what I call the 80-20 rule. The 80-20 rule by Pareto says 20% of what you do has 80% of the outcomes, correct? So what has more bang for the buck? That if I did one of these things, what would be most likely to help me lose weight? For me, because of my blood type, it's the wrong food. I'm actually allergic. I'm allergic to all carbs, eggs, milk, meat. I should be vegan. Let's put it that way. So now what I'm going to do is say wrong foods. I make a new cloud and I put wrong foods in the middle. And again, we're going to start all over again. So if I'm wrong foods is the reason why I'm gaining weight, then what we're going to do is say, what is something that would be wrong food that I should avoid? And so I would put down eggs and milk, beef, chicken, grains of all kinds. All of those, I'm supposed to have an EpiPen with me all the time. I did not know that until last year.
Wow.
So when we do that, eliminate all those items. And then again, 80-20 rule, you pick the one. And so I eliminated 4 years ago all sodas. 3 years ago, I eliminated eggs. 2 years ago, I eliminated most of the grains. I should be getting rid of tomatoes, potatoes. Those are next on the list. So what I've been doing is baby steps. Every year, I delete one more thing off my list. One more thing off my list. And that's what cloud charting is all about. So you just take it, put the problem in the middle, find out what's contributing to the problem, put your solution in a new cloud, and then find out how you can avoid wrong foods from there. So that's systematic problem solving done in 3 minutes or less.
That was an incredible demonstration, Carol, and so valuable. I mean, just incredible. And it works for people like me who are, it's like, okay, I see that. And then it's got the branching that's A, B, C, D.
MindMeister is a good website to go to. MindMeister.com. MindMeister.com. So it's the same process of cloud charting, but it's done electronically.
MindMeister, that's a great resource. So what do you see coming for you next? I mean, you're on this journey, you're doing some pretty incredible things right now. You're volunteering. I know you also help a friend of yours who has MS.
Parkinson's, yes.
Parkinson's, I'm sorry.
2 days a week to be with him, and he's teaching me how to be a master pool player. He is very good. I used to win money in college playing pool, and I haven't in 40 some years. And he has a wonderful pool table. He has Parkinson's, and so what it does is allow me and him to have an environment where he works on his muscle control, and you just to help remember where the cue ball is. That there's confusion that comes with the medications and all that, but there's no embarrassment. I'm just there I want to win, and I want to win for real, because when he gets down and plays, he blows me off the map. I'll have 7 balls still left, and he's ready to go to the 8 ball. It's like, I hate his thing.
See ya.
I don't care if you're sick. I'm going to win, right? So teach me how to do this stuff. And so it's just being honest and realizing that he's physically impacted, but I don't care. And so I provide that safe environment so if he wants to swear about what's going on and talking, you do it. Because I'm here to listen to it. There's no judgment. There's nothing that's going to happen from it. Sometimes I can't solve the problem, but you can sure talk about it, and it's the same thing. So what are you going to do? But it's also helping him recognize that his emotional brain and his intellectual brain, they've got to come together, because he still is the man that created an incredible empire for himself. He created this business, but now because of the disease, he's not capable. And so to have those two things, and I'm there to help him merge the two of them. and just realize there's nothing you can do about it. So what are we going to do about it? That's the reality. So that to me is just a joy for friendship. Just he gives me as much as I give back, and enjoying that. The big thing is just to have the voice at the right place at the right time. For me in the future, I'm always open and ready to chat with anybody if and when and how they want, and do a bit more of my spidey sense stuff that I wrote in my book, The Language of Intent. Just delve a little bit more deeply within that. So we'll see where it goes.
And can we get The Language of Intent on Amazon?
Yes, The Language of Intent, How Self-Talk Transforms Outcomes. Thank you
Great
for that.
book. Absolutely a great book. I highly recommend it.
Thank you. It was just for me finally just saying what my beliefs are. That we do have choices, and we can reach out to the universe, and there's stuff and there's things and environments out there that will help us get what we want. So
I want to circle back to your friend for a second, because you've said so many powerful things, but you talked about this man who's created this empire, and now because of his illness, he's having to deal with something different. And what you're helping him do is saying, okay, what can I do now at this moment in my life, instead of focusing on what I have done that I can't do any longer.
That's correct, because it's not relevant anymore.
Yeah.
Well, I'm retired now. I am not a national and international speaker, and I don't want to start up. I don't want to run a brokerage again. I've done that, been there. I don't want that. And I have the luxury of saying I don't have to. So I can say no to that. The rest of it, if I had to go back to work, then yeah, I'd go be pounding on doors and saying, I want to run your real estate brokerage. Or I'd go and become a team member. I still have an active real estate license. The options, you just keep the options there in case you need to move forward.
Well, Karel, to wrap up, kind of final takeaway for our viewers today, because this has been just such an extraordinary session. Thank you for sharing with us. So final takeaway.
Final takeaway. Well, I think it's a lot. This is on my desk. See that? Look at that.
Oh, that's beautiful.
It is just a clear egg. You can see my fingers to it and stuff.
Uh-huh.
It's all about the lens. If I look through it, everything is just really distorted. And I've always looked and tried to look with clarity. So I don't like to look at the world through a distorted lens. And what I mean by that is that our emotions can distort the lens. Not having all the facts distorts the lens. And it's always been a constant reminder. It's been on my desk for probably ever since I've been working, since my 20s. I've had this that long, because it is about finding clarity. So once I move this out of my sight line, or I just remember that an egg is all encased, we don't know what's real there until what finally breaks open and we see what's there. So it has multiple messages for me. So I'd like, people have talismans. Is that a word?
Yes.
So it's a Fed, right? Is that not another word where you have the little animals, the Navajo, the Fed? So you can look at something like that gives you a message that keeps you grounded, and then you just make sure that it's visual for you. And when you need time of silence, find the quiet, use your talisman, focus, and then regroup.
Karel, thank you for an incredible session today. I'm so honored to have talked, to have you share your journey. But for me, the huge takeaways here is, how you've made this incredible shift from being in front of hundreds of thousands of people every year, down to working with individuals now. And that's where the joy is that one-on-one. So thank you for sharing about how you became yourself and are still becoming yourself. And I hope our viewers will take to heart what Karel has said today.
Thank you.
So thank you for being with us. And yes, let's end with the gnome. Love it. Thanks, Karel.